All right, these are the notes for today, February 7th. All right, so like we talked about today in class, factors are two numbers that multiply together to give you a product. So 6 times 7 would be two factors of 42. We also could do 2 and 21, or 1 and 42, or 3 and 14. When you get some variables in there, say 9y squared, we could break that down into 9 times y squared. 9 is 3 and 3, y squared is y and y. So all my factors for 9y squared would be 3, 3y, y. So this is kind of where we're leading to. So let's look at 40. 40 would break down to 8 times 5. 8 is 2 times 4, and 4 is 2 times 2. So my factors are 2 times 2 times 2 times the 5. Remember from radicals when we were doing this, it's all the guys that are on the bottom of each of our branches. And then for the 50 n squared m squared, 50 breaks down to 2 times 25. 25 is 5 times 5. So I have 2 times 5 times 5 times n times n times m times m. So that is just factoring a monomial. So what we're doing today is we're finding a GCF, and then we're going to factor out the GCF out of a polynomial. So first let's talk about what does it mean to be a GCF. So I've got two numbers, 21 and 15. So my factors for 21 are 3 and 7. My factors for 15 are 3 and 5. So what I'm looking for are factors that they both have in common. So for this one, my GCF would be 3. They both have a 3 in common. That's the greatest number that both of those numbers can be divided by. When we have letters, same idea here. W squared would be W times W, and then I've got 4 Z's. And then I've got 2 U's. Whoops. Not U squared, 2 U's. And then 4 W's. And then looking again for what they have in common, they have 2 W's in common. So the GCF for these two will be W times W, which is W squared. So anytime you have more than one factor, you're going to multiply both of those guys together. So W times W, that would be W squared. All right, so let's practice. We've got 28 and 42. 28 is 7 times 4, which is 2 times 2. So that would be 2 times 2 times 7. And then 42 is 7 times 6. 6 is 2 times 3, so that's 2 times 3 times 7. Looking at what's in common for these two, I've got 2's in common and a 7 in common. Multiplying those two guys together, 2 times 7, my GCF is 14. What that means is 14 is the biggest number that both 28 and 42 can be divided by. So 28 divided by 14 is 2. 42 divided by 14 is 3. For the second one here, let's look at 120. That'd be 3 times 40. 40 is 8 times 5. 8 is 4 times 2. Ooh, running out of room. 4 is 2 times 2. So my factors there are 2, 2, 2, 3, 5, 3 A's, 2 B's. 2, 2, 2, 3, 5, 3 A's and 2 B's. Then let's break down 90. 90 would be 30 times 3. 30 is 5 times 6. 6 is 2 times 3. My factors are 2, 3, 3, and 5. So 2, I'm going to try to line them up a little better here. 3 and 5. And then I've got 1A, looking here, I've got 1A and 3 B's for that one. So looking for what they have in common, I've got a 2, I've got a 3, I've got a 5, I've got 1A, and then 1, 2 B's. That's a little messy, but they've got a 2, a 3, a 5, an A, and 2 B's in common. So 2 times 3 is 6, times the 5 is 30. And I got 1A, 2 B's in common. So my GCF between those two guys is 30AB squared. All right, so like I was talking today in class, I do this a little bit differently than Coach Gorsbach has laid out in your notes. Just in how I'm doing it, I'm still going to use the box method for my division. So the idea for factoring, factors are just things that you divide a polynomial by. So because factors, when you multiply them together, give you a polynomial. When we were doing division before, we would give you one factor and then you had to find the other factor. Well, that's what GCF is. It is one factor of this polynomial. So first of all, he says the GCF between these two is 5. So 5A is 5 times A. 35 would be 5 times 7. Hopefully you can see the GCF between those two guys is 5. So I'm going to factor that out. In other words, I'm going to divide 5 off of this polynomial. So my polynomial is 5A plus 35. So if I divide off the 5, I need to figure out what do I have left. So doing the division just like we did with this last test, 5 times what gives you 5A? That would be A. 5 times what gives me 35? 5 times 7 gives me 35. So as he says down below, your answer would be 5 times A plus 7. So Coach Gorsbach does the same thing, except for he's using some fractions. Most of my students hate fractions, so I don't like to go that route. We're going to do it visually like we did with our division on our last test. So let's see what this looks like in action. So first step, we got to find the GCF of each of our terms. Remember, this is a trinomial. It just means we've got 3 terms. So I'm going to factor all 3 terms. So for 2x cubed, that's 2 times x times x times x. For 4x squared, my factors are 4, 2 times 2, and then I've got 2 x's. My factors for negative 6x are negative, 2, 3, and x. This negative sign doesn't belong to the 2, and it doesn't belong to the 3. It's just like kind of saying negative 1 times 2 times 3 gives me negative 6. So don't feel like 2 and negative 2 are 2 different numbers. No, I've got 2, 2, and 2. Here's one group. It has to be in all 3. And I've got an x. Those are the things that are common to all 3 of them. So my GCF would be 2x. So that's the second step, find your GCF. Third step is now we got to go divide it off. So here's my division box, 2x. And I've got 2x cubed, 4x squared, and then minus 6x. So now we do our division problem. What times 2x would give me 2x cubed? Well, I've got a 2 there already, so I don't need a number. I've got 1x. I need to get to 3 x's, so I need 2 more x's up here. For my second box, 2 times what gets me 4? That would be 2. 2 times 2 is 4. I've got 1x. I need 2 x's, so I need 1 more up here. And then for my last box, 2 times what would give me negative 6? That would be negative 3. So 2 times negative 3 is negative 6. I've already got an x, so I don't need another one. So now that we've done our division, now we know what our factorization is. So the factorization would be 2x times x squared plus 2x minus 3. So just so you know where we're going, tomorrow we're going to learn how to factor this guy here. All right, number 2. Again, we're going to start with finding the GCF. So let's look at the first guy. My factors of 4 are 2 times 2. And then I've got x times x, y times y. For my second term, I'm looking for factors of 16. Let me put it up here. So 16 would be 4 and 4. That breaks down to 2 and 2, 2 and 2. So we've got 2 times 2